Hold everybody up here for a picture. That's what it was. Which reminds me of a story. Brad Pitt came to see me a couple of years ago, and he was so nice. He had a charity in New Orleans he wanted to talk about. So when it came time, they said, okay, stand for pictures. And I said, how are they going to tell us apart? Okay. I'm reminded of one of Mick Jagger's songs where he has a line that says, you can't always get what you want, but you try sometimes to get what you need. Legislation is the art of compromise, which seems to be far out of style around here. The question is, can you get what you need? We've worked for almost a year on this energy efficiency bill. Almost a year. Ron Wyden, to his credit, worked before he became chairman of the Finance Committee. One of the last things he did is get out of that committee a bipartisan energy efficiency bill. So much better than one we had last time. And it became better because people said, can we work together to come up with an energy efficiency bill? And everyone worked hard on that. So I was approached by a number of Republicans, and they said, if you bring this bill up, it's so good that we don't care if you fill a tree, we'll vote for it. So they had a number of Republicans who agreed with them. So I said, okay, I'll bring the bill up. Brought it up. That was the agreement we had going into the Easter recess. And the day that we were going to leave here at the recess, I was approached and told, well, what we would like to do to cinch this deal, give us a sense of the Senate vote on Keystone. I said, I don't want to do that. We already have an agreement. But in a few hours, I agreed to do it. So we come back after the recess and got triple whammy. The first whammy I got on this bill we were going to move forward is Republicans came to me and said, well, since the Senate isn't good enough, we want a freestanding vote on Keystone, which we've never had. We had a vote on the budget bill, that's all we had. I don't want to do that. We've been working through this. The next day I said, okay, we'll do it. So then last Tuesday, I guess it was, could have been Monday, David Vitter calls me. And he said, you remember last year I held this bill up because you wouldn't give me a vote on taking the health care away from staff. I remember that. And that was what happened in the last time we tried to do this. It wasn't only David Vitter, it was all the other distract and obstruct. So then on Thursday or Friday, he comes to the floor and said, well, I'll do my taking away health care for staff later. I understand Reid wants 5 amendments. Here's what I want. None of this has any semblance of veracity. So then last night, I'm approached again, and they say, yeah, we want those 4 amendments, and we also want geothermal. You know, I know a lot about geothermal. We lead the nation in geothermal production in Nevada. I had no idea what they're talking about, and I don't think anyone else did either. So here's where I am. Cloture was invoked on a motion to proceed today. If they want to vote on Keystone, they can have a vote on Keystone. But enough is enough. This is a good bill, as I outlined on the floor today, that 10 substantive measures that have been added to this bill. So we should have an up or down vote on this bill to see if we really can do something dealing with energy. What my friend, the Republican leader, said today is what they've said on everything. Everything. for years now, including this year, on unemployment, pay equity, minimum wage, always the same thing. So we have agreements, and then there's never quite enough. The old shell game starts. So I'm willing to move forward on the bill as I've outlined, and we'll make that decision tomorrow or the next day, I guess.
So just to clarify, you're talking about a freestanding vote on the efficiency bill, and then later a freestanding vote on Keystone, like
That's
right
right.
after that?
That's right. We, maybe a day or two, but right after that, yes.
Will you allow any amendments to the Shaheen-Portman bill?
No. Of course.
And also creating a select committee on Benghazi. If you requested that here, what will your response be from the second?
Won't be one. Keep in mind, there's no conspiracy here. It was a tragedy. It's my understanding they have 25,000 pages of documents. There's been numerous hearings on this already. The State Department did an extensive review. A number of those things they've requested and came up in the committees that's already been implemented. And now the latest smoking gun is a memo preparing people to go on the Sunday shows. Don't you think everybody gets some preparation before they go on the Sunday shows? So the answer is no. We're not going to do any select special committee over here on Benghazi.
Keystone, regardless of the outcome of Shaheen-Portman, will there be a Keystone vote, or are they tied together at this point?
Well, at this stage, they're tied together, but you know what? Yes.
The American Legion.
I'm just looking for you, yeah, okay?
The American Legion and some of your Republican colleagues are calling for General Shinseki to step down because of the continuing problems with the VA. Do you think he should step down?
This is the same guy that was ordered to step down when he said we'd need more troops in Iraq. He was fired there. He is a fine man. He's a disabled veteran from the Vietnam conflict. Chairman Sanders talked today in our caucus about the great work that he's done. The issue that came up in Phoenix, these are allegations, and there will be a complete investigation of that's gone on. Whether there's substance to it or not, I don't know, but it certainly doesn't call for the general to resign. He's been given a tremendous burden. We have millions of veterans who are coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. They have the most severe injuries by a large magnitude because of the way we've taken care of these troops on the battlefield. And in addition to that, we have about 20% of the people coming back have post-traumatic stress syndrome. He has a tremendous burden. And in addition to that, we've ordered him through legislation to change how they keep records. So he's trying to do all this. He is a fine man, a dedicated patriot to our country.
In the Shaheen-Portman negotiations, was Senator McConnell involved in those talks you were talking about before the recess and since then, or was it just, Portman, Murkowski, some of the sponsors of the bill?
I don't know if they had talked to him. I didn't. As I recall, I don't recall talking to him.
So, do you come away feeling like you were negotiating with those who weren't necessarily empowered to make a deal at the end of the day?
Well, is McCain empowered to make a deal at the end of the day?
That's what I'm asking. Is McCain in the negotiations?
No, I can't. I a bunch of Republicans. I can't tell them who to negotiate, who they should talk to.
Senator Reid, one of the other items that would be coming up is the Appropriations Committee is going to get to work, start marking up bills. You've said you're going to spend some floor time on them.
Yeah, I've given Mikulski and Shelby 4 weeks to do these bills.
Do you agree with Senator Durbin that the Senate should restore the process of earmarking and congressionally directed spending?
I have been a fan of earmarks since I got here the first day. Keep in mind, that's what the country has done for more than 200 years, except for the brief period of time in recent years that we haven't done these. I think it is wrong. I disagree, underline, underscore, big exclamation marks with Obama on earmarks. He's wrong. And I'll say this. If there needs, I just had a conversation with Claire McCaskill. If there needs to be more transparency than what we had, then fine, do it. but it is wrong to have bureaucrats downtown make decisions in Nevada that I can make better than they can make. And I don't run away at all. This is something that's been going on for centuries in our country, and it has worked quite well.
Senator Reid, the deal that you said you'll vote on Shaheen-Portman and then Keystone, is that it for energy type legislation for you for the moment?
I hope not, but you know, we're not getting a lot done because everything we try to do is obstructed. We weren't able to debate minimum wage. We weren't able to debate pay equity. It took me 5 cloture votes to get something on unemployment insurance.
Senator Reid, people yesterday came out showing the political environment for congressional Democrats is worse this year than 2010, which Republican colleagues this time.
Where did this come out?
It was a Pew Research poll yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Let me just interject this. We have polls. We have polls separated by 1 day that are totally different. So I know where my candidates are around the country. I have information that I am briefed by the campaign committee very often. And in spite of the huge dollars spent by the Koch brothers trying to help the top 1%, but at the top of that 1% are the 2 Koch brothers trying to help themselves. In spite of all that, we are in a position, I think, that is quite good. We're ahead virtually all over the country. And I don't need to run through the states with you, but we're doing okay. And if all these numbers that are floated around, you know, Heidkamp had an 8% chance of being elected. I had a 18% chance of being reelected. Tester had, I don't know where he was up in the atmosphere someplace at 14%. So these numbers don't mean anything. It's 6 months until the election. Let's talk about it more closely at that time. Elections are determined on election night, not by these people who do polls. Remember, the law in most every place in the country, you can't call cell phones. These pollsters just can't call them. You're like selling stuff to them, to people. You can't do that. I read in, I think it was People magazine, one of my chief reading guides, that about 40% of the people no longer have landline phones. So these polls, this is a good one. We met with some pollsters, and I said, you know, you take a place like Las Vegas, this was a year or 2 ago, when virtually we have more unlisted phone numbers in Las Vegas than any place in the country. And then you have all the cell phones. You have a number of people you want to get in certain demographic areas, and you can't get them. What do? You know what they said they do? They mathematically calculate what they think the answers would be if they got through those people. I'd rather have my method than theirs. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.